Hey folks, AJ here. Today we're not at my famous workbench. We're actually on site. One of my neighbors called me and they were having a flow issue. The flow error code was coming up on their Balboa control system used in this Amish country spa. So they asked me to come down and see if we can figure it out and get it fixed for them. So I'm going to show you what we're doing here to solve this flow problem that occurred in this Amish country spa. First things first, it's very, very old. So I do advise you to do this is, same thing I told the customers to do, is to drain the hot tub. Okay, there are service valves underneath on the control system, but the capacity of them holding water and not having water spill into the electrical components was probably not a good idea. So I said, hey, let's get this tub drained. Tubs got to be drained every couple months anyway, so let's start with fresh water and a fresh new pressure switch, and hopefully that solves this problem here with the flow condition on this Amish country spa. Okay, so the pressure switch is located in this control box here attached to the heating manifold. And again, these service valves are here to isolate this system if you ever had to service it, but I don't know how good these service valves are. I don't know if they're going to hold the water. If I'm going to pull this, take pressure switch out, and water's going to come pouring out because they're not holding the water back all the way. So we didn't even deal with those service valves, and it's a really good idea on real old hot tubs not to mess with those, because you might end up having to cut pipe and change those, which is a really big hassle. So again, the customer just drained the tub, and now we're going to take this access panel apart so we can get at the pressure switch and hopefully solve the problem with this hot tub. So there's another screw on the other side of that, but I'm just going to bend that back. Alright, and then there's our pressure switch down inside there. And of course, before we did anything here, the power was turned off. Okay, most importantly, before you kind of do any kind of electrical service on any hot tub, always make sure the power is turned off. Okay, so we got a couple things going inside this control box. First of all, you got one of the lead wires going to the heating element. That's here. We're going to try to stay away from that as much as possible. Also, that gray wire there is the high limit temp sensor that leads into the thermal well of the heater manifold. So we're going to try to stay away from that as well. We got two low voltage wires going into the pressure switch. I'm going to use my needle nose pliers and just gently pull those two wires off of the pressure switch. Okay, we got those guys out of the way, and that electrical wire going to the manifold might get in our, going to the heating element, might get in our way. Let me see how tight this is. Okay, so that's pretty tight. Try to gain a little bit more access by pushing this panel open. And see if we can figure out a way to get this thing threaded out of here. You might have to go in there and get a bigger pair of channel locks. Get that threaded out of there. Alright, so let me see if I can get it in here from the side. Just using my needle nose pliers. And yeah, we got it started there. Let me see. It's a little stiff, but it's coming. We gotta watch that other wire too. You always gotta make sure you're not disturbing the other components in a control system when you're trying to service one. This becomes very difficult sometimes. Alright, we're still trying to crank this guy out of here. Getting hung up on this back wire. Every time one of these terminals from the pressure switch spins around, it gets hung up on that back wire. So just one of the things you got to deal with when you're working on hot tubs. And like I said, you always got to make sure you're watching, don't nick that casing on that other wire coming in, creating a short. Okay? Okay folks, so the pressure switch broke. Some of the threads broke off inside that manifold. Alright, you can see the jagged edge there on the pressure switch. So we still got a portion back down inside there. So I'm going to use my pocket knife here, try to forge two grooves inside the remaining part of the threads that are in that pressure switch. And hopefully we can get enough to get that threaded out of there. All right, success. See what I did there, folks? That little piece of plastic that was still broken off there, I used this old wooden drill bit we had laying around here, tapped it in there, got enough leverage in there to create a little groove so we can thread that out of there. So now we got the rest of the whole pressure switch out. This wire is good on that side. I was concerned about me chipping away at the insulation of the wire. That's in good shape, everything's good. So now we got the new pressure switch here. Okay, wait, let's go look back at this old one here. So the part number right there, model 3902. So on my website is the 3902 Techmark pressure switch. Okay, we're gonna put some Teflon tape on it first. All right, and an old-time plumber taught me how to put Teflon tape on. You use the outside of the thread and then you wrap it in the same direction of the threads. Are we in the camera there, guys? Can everybody see that? We're going in the same direction of the threads. That way when you thread it in, the Teflon doesn't come apart. So these are very shallow threads, so you don't need a whole bunch. Just enough in there to get it covered. Okay, and then we thread it back in there. Watching these wires again. Now one thing that's very easy to do with these pressure switches is the threads can get cross-threaded on you and they can start going crooked. So you got to be very careful from the beginning to make sure you get it squared up the right way. Now I have upon occasion threaded these in and they've gone cross-threaded and they still have sealed. This one seems like it might be going a little cross-threaded. No, it's going in square, so we're good. Like I said, there was a couple times upon occasion where I've threaded these guys in and they've gone cross-threaded, but they reformed or remolded the threads as it was going in and it never leaked and there never was a problem. So hopefully that doesn't happen, but just get a new one if it does leak, because sometimes that happens. You just can't get those threads started square. It gets tough. All right, so we want to make sure we get it nice and tight. Okay, and then I'm going to get it snug with a pair of pliers as well. Okay, our pressure switch is in. Okay, nice and tight and snug. We're spaced away from our lead wires that go to the heating element up there. Okay, and then our two terminal wires, we just slide them right back on the two terminals off the original pressure switch. It doesn't matter which way they go. You're just interrupting the power in the series that it is, the series circuit that it is. That helps make sure that there's adequate water flow going through there. It won't send power to the circuit board, and the circuit board won't send power to the heating element unless there's adequate water flow going through. So that's the purpose of a pressure switch. She should be good to go right now. We're going to get this tub filled up, turn it back on, and back up to heating. Okay, we fired up the system, got it back up and running, and we got a cool 46 degrees. Our heat indicator is on. Our heater is now working as designed and functioned. So our friendly neighbor is now back in hot water. Changing that pressure switch solved her problem. Any questions beyond this video, feel free to give us a call. We are your hot tub parts authority.